Hey, what's up, App Mafias? Welcome back to this new podcast. And I'm joined by Sagar Malhotra today. And we talk a lot about Android development, we talk a lot about finance, money, and also we talk about Kotlin, KMP, and being a freelancer. There's so many things that you can learn from him. And this will be his podcast. I hope you enjoy this thing. Let's get started. First of all, I want to know how do you define stable in your life? Like in money sector, how do you define stable?
Okay, stable life, I would say when you have time plus when you have all the money you want so that you can buy anything
Yeah.
what you want. So that is basically simple definition of a stable life. When you can have time, but whenever you want, like today I want to just go for a trip. I don't want to work today, so I'll just go take a leave. Or if I'm having my own business or whatever, if I'm having development, freelance, anything. So that will be time independence and money independence should be also there. If I want to go to a trip, at least I should be able to afford it, right? So that I will say is a definition of stable in life.
100%. Like, what do you think is the minimum requirement to be stable, like in money wise?
In money, that is a very subjective topic, but I think generally it can be. I have met people with 20 lpa. They are living very fantastic life. They go wherever they want. They spend their money with friends, and they enjoy their weekends. And it's not the thing they don't enjoy in weekdays, but I think 20 lpa can be a decent minimum. And below that also, there can be a very it can be a very great life someone can live. That also depends on the city where you are living, the living
100%.
cost. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, what do you like? If I would say like I am like I have 1 year of experience. I think a lot of people who start out have around 1 year of experience. They're very entry level, and they want to get to know more about like how do I grow as a developer? How do I reach out to grab certain opportunities that help me first of all grow in career wise, help me make me a better engineer, and have that freedom with money. How do you navigate all these three?
Okay. First thing is, I think you are already on the right track. You are developing your own product. You are. I also saw your video where you are defining whatever you are doing in some water application. I can't remember exactly, but I think that was a pretty good step. You have to create content, and the major thing I found is you have to know how you can sell yourself to companies or to your clients. If we are talking about freelancing, I'm working in a product based company, and that was only possible because I was present publicly as a Android developer. I knew my stuff. I went to public speaking and all. So these things impressed them in a personal portfolio level. But on a Android developer level, I knew my things because I was writing articles. I know how these things work internally. So they checked my every single, I will say every single platform. They checked my they checked my Medium portfolio profile. They checked my YouTube channel. They checked my GitHub account. So they basically stalked me everywhere for around 1 week. And after that, they replied. I basically reached out to them, and after 1 week, they replied that okay, I think you are suitable for our job profile. Then the things going on.
I agree.
So I think
100% you have
having a
to be.
personal portfolio will definitely help, and you should know what you are doing.
100%. I think having a personal profile in some form or the other may not be that you're producing content as such, but your project should outshine other people, because mostly I've seen that pretty average people who have no interest in development as such, no interest in computer science. They always look for these easy chat applications and stuff. Try to develop these small applications just to fill up the resume as such. If you have true
Mm.
interest and you want to outshine others, that's what I think at least. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I think that developing your own products and trying them out in the market and understanding what are the struggles the CEO, CTO, these people face in the higher levels will help you out in the longer run, as well as people will definitely look at your efforts. That's what I think, at least. Um, have you done
Yeah.
freelancing before?
Yeah, I did it, but not actively. I got someone reached out to me through my LinkedIn, not LinkedIn, from my GitHub profile, because that time I was contributing a lot, and from one issue or a PR, they reached out to me through my email, and I did their job. It was a legacy project that I had to migrate to Kotlin. So I think that was worth it for trying to migrate, but not with the headache and all the things I had to do with the client. So that's why I'm not actively looking for a freelance job, and only going with a full time job only.
Yeah, understandable. Like, was the legacy code written in Java?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay. Is that Java to Kotlin is kind of difficult to understand. I had a simple project in Java. I remember that because I think so. Like in my company, they had a very old project, around 10-20 years old app that have been there, and I don't think the developer was following any architecture at all. They were just calling API calls on the screen itself, and it was a hectic task to deal with that, to find everything there. I understand why legacy code is such a difficult task. And yeah, what's your
yeah.
viewpoint on like AI as such versus programming? Because I've seen a lot of people. You know, I always define AI that AI is such a you know it's a great tool. I always define AI as an amazing assistant that I have right now. I can um, try to produce UI designs, UX designs from mid journey. Try to understand, okay, this is the thing, this seems super interesting. How can I integrate this into my app? How can I ask a chat GPT and create certain new features and integrate those into my app? How can I do those? What do you think about AI displacing software engineers? And like, what is the future of coding as of now?
Okay, if I am talking about at least a decade, I don't think AI will replace a software engineer. Maybe it can replace some intermediate developers or coders who are generally aware of HTML and basic things. But it will definitely not replace any proper software engineers, because that takes a lot of logical thinking, critical thinking, and like we should know the use case. Only then we will be able to develop any product, and that will be not I think AI will not be accurate with all these things.
Understandable. 100% the use case define your product. One more
Hmm.
thing that I wanted to ask was, like, for example, what's your overarching goal? Like, if you define like this goal that you have in like 10 years from now, I will achieve this goal no matter what. What's that one goal?
Okay, so personally, if I am talking about my short term goal, I am preparing to be a GD, if you know, Google Developer
Yeah,
Expert
yeah, yeah,
on
yeah.
in Android domain. Yeah,
GDE.
so I
Always
think
wanted
that
to.
will,
uh,
yeah, that's a very, I think, good thing as a developer, because we will have the public credibility, and at least we can ask for a 10x jump if we are GD in Android. Personally, if I'm talking I have a 1x LPA job right now, then I can go for a directly 10x jump if I am a GD now, and compared to as before. So I think that will help me in getting a credibility in public also. That will definitely help my public profile. People will gain trust in me, what I am talking, what I am sharing with them any content. So they will gain a trust that this is a genuine content creator, and they are sharing something genuine. So that is my target for next 1 year. But if I'm talking about 10 years, so financially, as I said, there should be time independence, financially independence. I think uh, I will say from last 1 year also, I am not actively chasing for money independence, because I know that will eventually come when I have the proper knowledge of anything. So also right now I am not running for having money independence just from now, because I don't think that should be my goal for now. Also, I'm not a next level expert in Android domain, so I should be focusing on that right now. And after maybe 1 or 2 years, that will be possible to have a financial independence, and then I will be chasing time independence. So yeah, that will be my goal.
100%. Like mostly people always, like, of course, this is a bigger goal than anything else, to have the freedom to go anywhere and you want and do anything you want. Of course, all
Yeah,
mostly people are searching for that in around 10 years. And I guess you're right for uh, as a developer, as a software engineer, because we are creating products in the market and we are actually selling ourselves as a product. It's very hard to sell anything at all. So if you're trying to sell anything, it's very you have to convince someone that I can add value into you, right? And this only
yes,
happens when you yourselves are good and you only, yeah, I'm sorry about that. You
yeah.
are actually good in like Android. So yeah, I guess you're right. What's the method that you're following in like GDE as such? Like I always wanted to explore this thing. I always wanted to talk to someone who is going towards GDE.
Okay, so recently some of my connections also became GD, and I also had personal connects with few who are good in Android domain and who are already GD in Kotlin or ML. So I discussed with them, and I also did my own research. So the main thing is there is there is no such application for GD, and we should be creating content, or we should be writing blogs, or we should be creating our own community. Uh, we should be or we should be contributing to open source. So there are these 4 to 5 factors that we should be achieving before applying for a GD, and that will be only possible if any Googler, someone who is working in Google, or someone who is already a GD in any domain. So if any of these persons are referring us to be a GD, only then we can apply. And after that, there are some 4 to 5 uh, rounds of interviews, or any profile checks. And if we are meeting those criteria, then we will be a GD.
Like
So right now, how I am preparing is, firstly, like all the core components of Android, or anything which is latest, or which I should be knowing in Android domain. So I'm preparing on that. I'm working on that. I'm learning, and I'm creating content for that also. Like suppose there are these widgets in Android. So I'm going live on that topic today, and after that, most probably I will be also writing article for that, because mostly I think developers will go for articles on a priority than a video. So that will help me gain a plus on the content creation side, and public speaking is also side by side. If I'm getting any opportunity, or if I am organizing an event, so there I will be going as a speaker. So that will, I think, overall build my profile, and then hopefully uh, I will be completing the criteria for being a GD.
that's great. I hope you become a GDE soon. I will also be joining your. I think you're doing live stream today, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's for widgets. I wanted to actually learn widget for my own app. I will be joining your live stream, so yeah, I'll try to.
Okay.
I'll
Great.
understand everything, and like as a GD, like of course GD require a lot of preparation because you have this 5 to 6 round of Google expertise. Do they ask like um they run profile only on Android, or it's the full profile that you need to understand everything in computer science as well?
No, if you are applying for a specific domain, then only that particular domain will be your main goal. And with that also, your community part should be also there. If I am applying for a GD for Android, so Android plus how I am building community for Android, how I am contributing for the Android community. So these two will be the topics overall.
100%. Like, what's your take on how can one go from like let's give let's take an example. I'm starting for this like let's say I'm preparing for this GDE, right? Or maybe just an Android interview to get a good job, right? I'm starting from
Mhm.
zero right now. I want to get good this thing. I understand, like, take me for example. I understand certain basics. I have developed a little bit of like app dabbles here and there, and I'm learning every day. That's what I'm doing. So I want to get good and get into a good company, or become a GDE, whatever it is. What's your roadmap here?
Okay. For applying also you are asking?
Yeah, you can separate them to whatever you like.
Okay. So if I'm applying, okay, if I'm a beginner, so I will first complete all the mandatory things like how I can fetch data from API. So these are the basic topics that I should be comfortable with, or a local database, or any best architecture practices. So if I'm comfortable with all these things, I will be having 2 to 3 major projects that I will showcase as a highlight to my profile. So there should be at least working projects that I can show. Okay, I am following this best architecture here. I am using these functionalities, so that if I'm getting into an interview, so I can show the interviewer that these are the things I've already done. So 2 to 3 projects should be there, and alternatively you can also contribute to open source, and that will actually have a huge plus on your profile, because open source projects are already live, and if you have contributed, that means you know what you are doing. And I think if you are having internship experience or any content creation experience, then it will be a huge plus already. Already if you are worked with any company, and you contributed in something, because interns in India are like uh, I I had experience in a company with being an intern. So I created their whole project from scratch. It was not actually an internship, if I'm saying. It was like I was the one who was creating the whole project, whole product for them. So basically, intern means we are learning something with working with some senior. But there was no senior. I had to do everything by my own. So there I gained a lot of experience, and that will definitely help me get a good job.
100%. Like,
So
what's your take on, like, you said, like, I was developing the whole projects by myself. Like, what's your take on getting to learn with a senior engineer versus learning it by yourself? I have a, like, my point is, like, if I try to apply it on myself, I am in a, like, it's not a product based company, it's a simple service based company. Since we have a different, so many different products that we can work on, we can jump on domains, right? I also understand basics of Flutter with Android. I didn't get too much work on Android as such. Android is like my own self. By night I'm Android, by day I'm a Flutter developer. So that's that.
mm,
But like, since I'm learning with a senior engineer, I think I can grasp Flutter very easily as compared to starting by myself. What do you think about that? Starting by yourself versus getting to know with a senior engineer.
okay, yeah, I think with the senior developer, you can learn at a very fast pace. I will tell you one scenario. I was working on one problem, performance problem on Android, and I got stuck on it for at least 3 to 4 days. I was not able to crack. I was not able to find any documentation or any sample projects which was using that performance boost. So I reached out to a senior. They were not replying that time, and uh, 3 to 4 days after, I found the solution by myself. So definitely, I learned this thing by myself, and now that thing is stuck into my head, and I will never forget that thing. So this will be a huge plus. If you are finding anything by yourself, you will always remember that thing. Okay, I did a lot of struggle in doing this thing, so it will be always with me. And if that senior replied me that day only, okay, you can do this thing, and I will apply that thing, and I might forget this thing straight after that.
I get it. It's like, it's mostly like working with in senior engineers is like following a YouTube tutorial, and working by yourself is like developing a product from scratch. So yeah, if you want to go far, I think so you should go with people. If you want to go fast, go alone. That's what I think, at least.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, definitely.
yeah. What's your like take on, like, as someone who is you know if I get to, I have understood Android development, right? I now want to explore Flutter or maybe backend. What's your take on that? Like, can I switch um, from just you know exploring app as such to developing a full um, app from front end to back end? Can we do that? Like, at
Okay.
which point do should we start to do that? That's what I'm thinking.
Okay, at your point, you already have around 1 year of experience, so you are already working as a mobile developer, Android or Flutter. But personally, I will recommend to stick to one technology only, either Android only with Kotlin and Compose or other things, or you can only go for Flutter because that will help you focus on one niche technology and you can basically master that thing. And if you are just a beginner who started with programming, you are trying different things, you are trying web development, Android, that time you can switch to multiple things. You can try backend also, you can try AIML, anything. But once you decide to stick with one technology, so you should be focusing on it at least for 3 to 4 years. That's my personal recommendation.
I
And
get
I
it.
think that will definitely help you be a senior developer more fast, and you will definitely get a good job in particular niche than switching multiple uh, in your journey.
I get it. Like, it's mostly seen that, for example, usually what happens is if I go to like freelancer.com and try to get certain freelance projects, they always ask for do you know backend? Like, because as a engineer, they want to know
Hmm.
if a single person can develop a whole app from front end to back end. That's the problem with usually apps as such. Because web, I
Okay, yeah,
think,
I
yeah.
will give you a solution for that. One of my friend is also running a freelance agency. Not one of my friend, I think 2 to 3 friends are now doing this thing, and they are like they represent themselves as an Android developer, and if any client is asking them for some backend task, so they will take this thing and they will outsource that backend task or any API creation, whatever they want. So you will also get the client, and your client will also get the job done. So
Hmm.
you don't need to necessarily know everything, like the backend, the website, the application, whatever they are asking. You should be familiar with the, not familiar, you should be mastering that one particular technology. That okay, I can give you 100x performance boost on your application. I can give you a scalable application. Just consider yourself as a Android developer. Represent yourself as a one particular
Field
domain
developer.
expert.
Yes, yes. Um, One more, I have two more questions that I wanted to ask. Was one thing that like just popped up in my mind. It was like, if I'm going for like, usually HR will always look for metrics in your resume. Like, you did this, you scaled an app for 10,000 plus users, so that will
Yeah.
be a great metric to share in your resume. Like, but since like, for example, let's take me, not everyone is in a product based company. It's very difficult to just locate at one particular product as such and try to understand how can understand the metrics of that product. How can someone document their metrics, document their contribution, and enter them into your resume so that they can get a better environment or maybe a better career? How can one do so?
Okay. For a service-based company, you are asking particularly.
Yes, service based or someone who's just starting out, is just building a project by themselves. How can one get
Okay.
those metrics in?
Okay. For performance, like if you know benchmarking in Android, so there
Yes.
you can measure performance uh, before any boost or after you apply certain baseline profiles, for example, then you can gain some performance boost. So around 30% performance gain you will have, and that you can mention. And one thing you can also mention is the downloads of your application, that you can represent in percentage. When you were not working on any product and after you worked on the product, how much difference in downloads you are having, so that you can also mention.
I agree, I agree. Like, what do you think about, like, since, for example, not everyone is doing just performance as such, right?
Mhm.
Everyone is might be someone might be a junior engineer, right? And they started off, like for example, in my company, there are certain engineers who have just joined, and they do not have that much experience as such, and I wanted to help them out, right? That's why, as someone who is a little above them, you always do the plumbing first, make the MVVM architecture, install all of the dependencies, then hand out the project, so that, and always tell them, okay, please make one screen at a time. I'll make sure that your screen is dynamic first, then I'll help you out learn how to call APIs. So that's what I think engineers do. That's how I have been taught Flutter as well. So how can one, as a junior engineer, write metrics in this scenario?
Okay. Uh, right now, I'm not getting any examples, but I think might be there are not any metrics thing that we can mention, but the architecture, with architecture, you made the product scalable, right? So that is a good thing. So that we can mention in the resume, but I'm not getting any example for specific metrics that we can mention.
I guess it's a confusing question to answer, because I was searching for this question for
Yeah.
a long time, but I never got to know, like, if somebody has the answer for this or not. I guess it's just about experience. The more experience you have, the more metrics will be adjusted in your resume. Um,
Hmm.
Mostly, I just wanted to know much more about, as like someone who is an Android developer and has like let's take my own example. I have 1 year experience, and I want to understand the foundations of Android development. Like today, you pointed out that I was writing this context definition wrong on my LinkedIn post, right? And I actually didn't know
Yeah.
that context was actually because you need to interact with the components of Android itself. I thought it's just a class that helps me um, interact with those components. So yeah,
Okay.
if I want to explore such components in deep, right? Because there are not such YouTube videos out there who will always tell you, okay, this is context, this
Mhm.
is what it does. How can one starting out explore this thing?
Okay. I was also confused for a lot of time. I was confused with the coroutine. What was the coroutine actually? Some says that it is a light thread. Some says that it is just a function. But I was confused for a lot of time. And I found a book that is Kotlin Coroutines. It is a very famous book. I
Yes, yes,
downloaded
yes,
it
yes.
from somewhere, and I read it for around 100 pages. I read, and it got me a clarity of what actually coroutines are, how they internally work. And then I also found some great articles where these things were not exactly as the book mentions, but some diagrams mention that, okay, this can be represented as a coroutine. So that gave me a clarity, and I come up with the solution, like what actually should be a coroutine in terms of definition. So then I wrote article for that, and I think that is the one solution. You can go for any books, because they generally they mention the details of how one component should be interacting, and what is the actual reason for creating that component. So that is one place, and others I generally found articles that help me get some understanding. So these are the two things.
I get it. Like, I was just learning about. I wanted to actually. What's, by the way, what's your definition of coroutines? If I like, if please test me. If I am defining coroutines, I will always define it's a suspended function that runs upon threads. I understand there's more to it, but like, what do you how do you define coroutines? What is a coroutine? I know it's not a lightweight thread, but what it
Yeah.
is?
Okay, so coroutines are, we will say, they are an instance of suspendable block of code. We cannot say that they are suspend functions. We can say they are an instance, that we can say they are present. Uh, they can be switched between multiple threads. So they are basically instance of a suspendable block of code. So this is the we can say materialistic definition of a coroutine.
Suspended block of code that runs upon a thread, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
we can say they are instance of a suspendable block of code. Yeah,
Yes. Suspendable means like it can be, um, stopped
paused.
and resumed. Yeah, paused. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, I always wanted to explore some of these basics as such. Like I'm always confused about why do we even need, why how did Google come upon this idea of let's make a broadcast receiver. How can I find this article like the first person to even make a broadcast receiver? It's very difficult to understand how. I don't think there is any documentation regarding this thing. I hope there was, but there isn't. So yeah, I always love to explore certain parts of technologies and how they came upon the idea of making this technology this way. This is my
Mm.
thing, and I think so. A lot of people who are great developers would love to understand these things. One more question
Yeah.
I wanted to ask is like, for example, like coroutines as such. I don't need to understand coroutines as like by definition or by heart to apply them. I can apply them by just block of code, review model.score something.
Mm.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
So to get a job, is it necessary to explore the basics, the foundations of what is how coroutines work inside?
Okay. Yeah. Like I said, if you know how to use the coroutine, then you can. Some companies can also refer you as a fresher. Some companies, mostly you will be compatible for an intern role. But if you want to actually go for a good company where you can add value to their product, so you should be familiar with the basics, like why this thing is like this, how it is created. Because then only you will be able to know what are the actual use case, how we can cancel a coroutine, for example. How, why it is not canceling if I am just writing coroutine dot cancel, why it is not canceling that time and still my UI is getting updated. So this is a use case that you can refer. And this you will only know when you are knowing the actual internal working of something, for example compose. So that is a huge topic. And you will only know it when you will handle state management, side effects, and there are a lot of things in coroutine, sorry, compose. So if you know the internal working, then you can work efficiently. Then you will know how I can skip the certain, uh, I can say recompositions, how I can gain performance in my compose application. So how you can create the
100%.
UI with compose, so you
100,
can get into an
100%.
internship or some basic jobs. But if you know how you can gain performance while creating your UI with compose, how you can remove recompositions, so then you can be a better developer. Then maybe you be considered as a senior developer.
100%. Like if a senior engineer is there who understands these basics, foundations of these things, it would be much better to much easier to develop a product as compare make decisions for a product as such
Yeah,
before developing them, because mostly development timeline takes an app takes a lot of effort. Understanding the requirements and translating them into a good product is what a senior engineer does. And I
yeah,
think so that's the difference between an AI and a software engineer. And yeah,
yeah,
that's what I at
yeah.
least
I think
feel.
that's the perfect definition you said. So we should know what are the requirements and what thing we should choose for one particular, for example, API call. Either we should choose retrofit or any other library. So yeah, that's great.
One more thing, like, how do you what do you think about the future of Kotlin multi-platform as such? I'm asking this particular question because I think like I've seen like let's take example of freelancing as such. Like I asked like should we learn backend or not? Like backend can also be developed in Ktor, right? And
Mm,
it can be written in Kotlin. I can write a full stack application from web, desktop, mobile, Android, iOS, everything in Kotlin. Um,
mm.
as a developer, should we learn things in KMP, everything in KMP, or should we just start with Android, then jump to web or maybe desktop? Because I think they all require different code bases and scenarios. What do you think about that?
Okay. If you are an Android developer, I will strongly recommend you should try KMP, because in Google I/O, if you also saw, the Google
Yeah,
Docs
yeah.
is now migrated to KMP, and they are planning to migrate more applications to KMP completely. And if Google is backing KMP, then it will definitely scale, and the future is secure for KMP developers. And KMP is also supporting web. Web is currently experimental, but I think it will be soon stable. And they are also supporting servers, so I think they are good in the industry. And in our company, we were also having a KMP project, and I also saw in CRED, if you know about CRED, so they are
Yeah,
also
yeah.
having a KMP repository for their application. So KMP is being adapted everywhere, and recently it is getting stable. So I think if everyone is already trying it out, and if it is getting stable, so the users will be more, and it will be it will be easier for them.
100%, I agree. Like to the part of like backend as such, like do you think that with Kotlin I can understand backend, or Kotlin not such a great language to learn backend in? What do you think about that?
Okay, yeah, that is also a controversial topic. I personally have not tried Kotlin for backend, but I saw some job posting where they need a backend developer specifically for Kotlin language, and I personally know them. So if the companies are using it, so definitely there should be a reason why they are using it. I don't know what is that. Maybe they should go with some other languages like Go or something, but yeah, there should be some reason. And I'm not referring to go for backend with Kotlin, because I'm not having any expertise in that, so I will not suggest that.
I agree, agree. What's your take on like if someone is developing like a product by themselves, what do you take on indie development? Like, should people even look at indie development, or it's just a waste of time? They should just go for full-time jobs.
No, definitely it is not a waste of time. There are a lot of developers who are successful being an indie developer, and I think it's just a matter of time and personal choice. Like if you have any personal family pressure or any financial situations where you should be earning money, because as an indie developer, it is not easy to start. If you need job, or it will be also hard if you are already working full time and you are working on being an indie developer. So uh, yeah, that's also personal preference if you can invest that much time in being a indie developer.
100%. I think indie development is such a cool job to have if you can afford it. It's such a
Mhm.
cool thing to have. If you cannot afford it, it's
Yeah.
kind of you have to have some kind of job or some kind of backing. That's what I say at least. And
Also, I think indie developers are more time independent than full time developers.
100%, because it's your own product you're developing. So yeah, you take your
Yeah.
100% responsibility. Every year,
Yeah.
your salary becomes a function of your profit. So it's a very scalable yet a lot of risky job. That's what it is. Uh,
Mm. Yeah.
I had one meeting with this developer who is from Miami, and I think so he's a freelance developer, and he was trying to develop his own products. He was doing freelancing plus trying to do indie development as such. If you are like, if you have a lot of energy, if you can do that, deal with
Mm.
clients and do your own product as well, someone can try that. Like if you're a youngster who can like go, like for my age, for example my age, you can try that stuff. But I think so if you're going above 28 or 29, I guess, if you don't have that much energy, I think so it's, you know, choice, personal choice. It becomes
Yeah.
kind of difficult to make an indie app and make sure the marketing is all right, sales is all right, you have your own
Mm.
funnels and everything. There's so much to learn in indie app development or indie development as such. Yeah. What do you think about like being a founder? Do you want to be a founder in future?
Yeah, I am interested in being a founder, but I'm waiting till I get some market breaking ideas or some great team members. So right now I'm currently, like I already said you, my roadmap for next 1 year. So I'm not planning to be a founder for around 5 years, I guess, because I want to be a particular niche expert, and after that I will explore different domains.
What do you think about like Flutter as such? Like, do you think Flutter will completely displace Kotlin, or they will be staying together, or how do you think the scenario will play out?
Okay, so I think Mm, still also React Native is used somewhere in a lot of places, because the main purpose of React Native is we can tell our JavaScript developer, okay, just create an application with React Native, because they are already familiar with that language. And I think Flutter will be also there in the market. I'm not sure for how much, for how many years it will be there, but I think KMP can replace it,
Yeah, I
because
get that. I always want to. I actually want KMP to displace it, but yeah, it's. I don't know what will happen. It depends upon the founders as such and what's the requirement of the app.
yeah.
Like, what's your take on mostly? I think so. Product based companies always go for this native approach. I think the Swiggy is on KMM, I guess. I have read one article about their UI, dynamic UI, and they were working with Kotlin multi platform, I guess. And
Okay.
there are a lot of people who are switching to KMM as such because of the backing from the Google. And
Hmm.
I want the Kotlin to be the main language for app development as such. I don't want React Native. I don't want to learn React Native, being very honest. And I've tried React Native, and I think I do not enjoy it at all. It's the same as web. Very, very weird. You need to install a lot of things just to make one thing work. And a lot of dependencies, lot of stuff. Very hectic. I like Kotlin because it's very simple to use. You have a whole ecosystem by yourself. You develop everything from scratch. Uh, and
Hmm.
that's the most enjoyable part as an engineer. That's what I think, at least. Um, and yeah, Flutter will be the thing, I guess. It's let's see how things play out. I have no idea how things will play out, but yeah. uh,
Yeah, it will be better for us also, developers, and it will be better for the products also, because they will have a performance gain with Kotlin, because that basically works with their native components instead of Flutter, because Flutter don't have that much performance if you are comparing with KMP.
100%.
So it's
Size is
better for
always
everyone.
bigger as compared to just a native app as well. React Native size is triple the amount, so that's also kind of bad.
Yeah.
um I was thinking about like when it comes to this, I got a suggestion from, if you know Prime, right? Prime agent in YouTube, like the Netflix engineer.
I,
Yeah.
okay, Netflix engineers.
Yeah, he has a YouTube channel. I watch him usually, and he is he just left Netflix, and he always talks about he has a video that I love. This video talks about abstraction, which means that uh, like mostly when people start to develop, let's take example of game development as such, because game development is very close to hardware. They program in C hash and C++, so it's very close to hardware, whereas we are developing
Hmm.
on in Kotlin or maybe Flutter, which is an abstraction of abstraction of abstraction of many languages together and working together. What do you think, like someone who is just starting out, who is starting out as a developer, who has just gone into the field of CS? It's very hard to get your mind around why do we even need to use Flutter. Like Flutter is backing of Dart, which functions on the native code, which functions on C, which functions on Byte. How does this play out? And do you think the abstraction is the enemy of becoming a better software engineer? That's what I'm asking.
Okay. At a higher level, I think it is not an enemy, because working in C can be much harder for a just starting developer than working with Dart. That's what I think, and yeah, that is the overall thinking.
I'm thinking like abstraction as such, like it's very difficult to understand how the components are interacting with each other in Android, because you haven't
Mhm.
written any C code at all. We haven't written any C++ code at all until unless we are interacting with
Mhm.
NDK as such. Um, so I think like abstraction is good when it comes to developing products and releasing it to the market. But if you want to be a great um, in one particular field and try to understand how the hardware works with this software. Like for example, I was talking about electronics and computer science together, working together. It's very difficult to make such kind of product without understanding the very basics of how Android came about. So yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Because I think the world is kind of shifting into a new place where we are more focusing on hardware plus software as compared to just hardware or just software. And I think so there that will be the future where we will be developing products for maybe VRs or maybe some kind of illusionary TVs or some stuff. Soon the apps will come for that as well, because apps will always be there. There's nothing as such ki apps will be gone or something. Apps will be there. The
Yeah.
medium will be different, and sooner or later we will be interacting with hardware that is pretty new. And pretty new means a lot of there's no such abstraction. So that's why I was asking, like, if you want to be a great developer, do you need abstraction or not? I guess you're right, like abstraction helps you if you want to develop products fast and release in the market. um,
Yeah.
that's the unique selling point of Flutter as well. I guess
Yeah, but
that's it.
in the cycle of and like any kind of development, there should be abstraction for a beginner, because they can just start with writing some assembly language code. They will be not interested, or they will be not able to understand it. So I think that is better for getting started. But at a certain experience level, you should be knowing what are the underlying things and internal working of some things. So that is the way only you can grow as a developer, and that should be the way.
100%. Like one more question, like do these questions like system design interest you? Like do they find a curiosity gap in your mind?
Okay, like I have not studied system designs as a separate topics, but if I find any topic that is considered as a system design topic, but I already knew that thing, because maybe I have worked with it in my Android development journey or anything. So like I have not studied and never asked for any system design question in my any of my interviews. And also surprisingly, I've had never asked any DSA question in any of my interviews for
That's
an Android
nice.
developer. Yeah,
That's
that can be
nice.
controversial, or that can hurt some feelings, but I was already comfortable with the DSA questions for like I have solved over 2000 DSA questions when I was in second year of my college. So I was pretty comfortable with going with any DSA questions. But when I completely focused on Android, so I was only asked Android related questions, some detailed questions like a hash map or hash table. So these I faced, but not any DSA question or DSA problem.
I agree, I agree.
But,
Like
also one more interesting thing, when I was reading about the internal implementation of Compose, so there internally they were using a DSA concept. So I think when we are going for any creating any libraries, so that time these things will definitely help a lot.
Like yeah, I remember working of XML. I think so they use trees to locate like a particular text view or an image view inside of an XML and update it. And, a tree goes and updates that particular portion and comes back, backtracks to their position. I really like that approach. I hated DSA when I was in like third year, but now I after learning it for a while and trying to have a curiosity gap in my mind as to why certain things work this way. DSA has helped me a lot, and I think so. If you who is someone who is starting out in a journey as a software engineer, I think so you should focus more on programming as compared to DSA as such. If you're starting out, because programming
Hmm.
first creates your basics. Then, if you want to explore the deep down working of this thing, DSA will help you with that. And
Yeah.
it's just the curiosity gap that you have that helps you fill that gap gets filled because of the learning the DSA basics. And with DSA basics you get to learn a lot, and a lot of functionalities that you usually use in your day-to-day programming activities. And yeah, what's
Yeah,
your
and
yeah,
yeah. I'll say for a beginner, if you are just writing some HTML thing and you are writing CSS and you are creating a website, so you should be curious how these things are communicating with each other and where the JS part will come. So if you are curious, only then you will be a better developer. And that curiosity, I would say, for a beginner, for me personally, it came after uh, I was working with the DSA a lot.
100%.
So that is the personal preference, basically. Yeah,
I've seen your
you can
you
also
yeah.
directly go with the Android development, and you can find all the things how they are related. So that's up to you only.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've seen your YouTube videos on like lead code and stuff. There are many videos, like 100 to 100 videos or something. I've
yeah,
seen a little bit like 40 minutes long DSA videos. I've seen those. Yeah, I think DSA is super interesting. I'm learning DSA as of now, solving them with Kotlin as such. Like one more thing I wanted to ask, like Flutter has this ability to develop games with Flutter. What do you think that Kotlin will be able to do so? Like, can we make games in Compose? Because I tried once making this card game, I completely failed. But yeah,
okay. Yeah, I think it should be possible. Like I never thought we will be able to create iOS application or a website with KMP
yeah, 100%. Yeah,
with Kotlin. So I never thought that, because if it is possible, then why not already possible? Why we are not already creating iOS application with Kotlin? Uh, I'm talking about 1 or 2 years back. But since now KMP is there and everything is possible, so let's hope for the best.
yeah,
Game development should be also possible.
yeah, 100%. I wanted to explore that. Like, for example, I don't think there is any game engine written for just Kotlin. If somebody wants to make an open source library and needs an idea, I think so. This is a great idea. Write a game engine
Yeah,
in Kotlin. Because game
yeah,
engine for
definitely.
Kotlin. If you know C++ or something, and you understand games basic, how gravity works and Unity and stuff, write a simple game engine in Kotlin. That will be a great project.
Yeah, definitely. And you can create it open source or make it priority, and you can get acquired by JetBrains. Who
Yeah,
knows?
100%. That will be a great project. I would love
Yeah,
to work on that. Yeah,
yeah,
I know that I do not know the basics to do so alone, but hopefully somebody would. And yeah, I would love to contribute in such a game engine. I was thinking about actually making a game in Compose. Have you played Papers, Please?
what?
Papers, Please. It's a game on Steam.
No, I didn't get it. Like, what
It's
is it about? Can you explain more?
Yeah, yeah. So it's a game. Papers, Please. It's basically based in Soviet era, where basically you are a border security guard, right? And there's like Stalin. You're the time in of Hitler and Stalin, right? So these are the communism eras, and you're the border security guard, and you have to allow people from one border pass from one border to out of Russia somewhere, and
Okay,
you can only allow people who have that credible passport and stuff. All of the applications are credible. If you spot
okay,
anything mysterious, a certain thing that, oh, this guy might be someone who wants to assassinate someone, there are certain scenarios there that, for example, if you want to assassinate someone and you play a part, okay, allow this assassination to happen, then you play that story. The story completely changes on assassination. A story completely changes when you try to be particularly moral with a fascist
yeah,
group or whatever. So yeah, uh, this is Papers, Please, and I just wanted to make a very small game, kind of related to this Papers, Please. Like,
okay. That will be like a conditional game. If we have
yeah,
two choices
100%
and we
condition.
can either go this or that.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I
I've
want to.
seen a lot of ads on that kind of games.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was just wanted to make this very simple game because I don't want to stress myself out developing the whole graphics and stuff. I just want to make a simple game that's super interesting to play, and yeah. Do you think that that can be possible on Compose, or it will be really difficult to just do that?
No, I think that is possible, and that will be a good idea because generally, if we see on a user level, that seems very interesting to play those where we can have our own choices, we can make our own choices in game. So that seems very interesting,
Yes.
and I think yeah, you should try it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What do you think about like games in as such, like games being integrated into real life? Like for example, mostly that happened in when Pokemon Go arrived, right? And we were playing this real life flash game world, AR VR, right? We were talking about that. So what do you think about AR as such in Android? Because I've tried to explore AR before, and it's very difficult to understand because there's only one library and it's open source. There's one library that is working, and the other libraries that were developed by Google, I think so, they got, you know, killed by Google. So yeah, it's very difficult to work on AR if somebody wants to, until unless you want to just run OpenGL, completely go
Hmm.
from very basics and understand OpenGL as such. What do you think about AR and VR as such? Is there some hope for like new apps coming around, like complete new concepts of apps?
Yeah, you just reminded me of a great topic. I will definitely explore this and will try to make any content around it
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it is very interesting. And for talking about that game thing, I think the whole purpose of having a game is to make it enjoyable for users. And in certain things, AR VR will enhance that enjoyment. So I think that will help us gain more users and user retention basically for games with AR VR. Yeah.
100%. I was developing this. I wanted to develop a app that will. Have you like? I think you must have used an app. If you go to a restaurant and there's this QR code on the table itself, you just scan that QR code. You have a web application open in your mobile, and you can order from that, right? Like, can
Mm.
we do that in AR? That's what I'm thinking. Like, scan a QR code, the food gets placed on that QR code, then you can slide and see which photo or 3D model you like, and select that and order that. Do you think that will be a great idea?
Yeah, that can be a great idea, but I'm not sure about the product market fit or whatever. If the users will accept it on how much it will scale. So I am not sure about that. But yeah, that is a good, definitely a very great use case.
I think so. Like Zomato, and they can do that because they have this already installed, a very large user base. Swiggy can do that. If you just
Yeah,
go and scan a user menu, they will have this AR open up inside of the native app, and you can interact with it. Though
yeah,
except those
definitely.
app, I don't think so. Individual apps will work out because you need to install a lot of apps with every restaurant that you go to. I think so. Web applications would be much better for that use case, but yeah,
Mm,
that's
yeah.
what I get it. Like, I think those will be the great ideas in the upcoming future for uh, like apps who are into native. Do you think like Flutter as such or cross platform like React Native, are they good with the when we talk about talking with sensors, when we're talking about AR, when we are talking about hardware components and interacting them with the compose? Do you think Flutter and React Native would be good with that?
Yeah, they are good for themselves only. I think if we have the option for a better alternative like Kotlin, so we should work on that instead of Flutter and native. That's what I
100%.
think.
Because I think that the more native, the again it comes to abstraction, I guess. Like more abstraction you have working with hardware,
Mm,
the harder it gets. So working with Kotlin would be KMP with the AR VR support would be super amazing to have, and it will
mm.
open up a total different new market of users. That's what I think, at least, because that will be amazing. And
Yeah, definitely.
one more question I had regarding this. Uh, the app that I'm producing, right? I have this water tracking app, and I wanted to integrate it with VROS, right? And I wanted to track water with VROS. You click on that, and you have a certain animation play out in VROS as such. I think that the ecosystem of Apple iWatch is much bigger as compared to Android's um, watches. So, like, what do you think is the best product that can actually, make Android watches a great to have? Like, because I think so, iOS watches are much more for aesthetics as compared to any use case. They are pretty useless. Any watch is pretty useless. So, what do you think will be the great product that will make iWatches or Wear OS something that people want to buy?
Hmm. I think the major use case is already implemented, like the health tracking and or fitness tracking, all these things. Because why you need a product always attached with you should have some all time benefit. Like you should be tracking your every time you should be tracking your heartbeat or whatever your oxygen levels. I'm not sure how much accurate that is, but according to data, it is accurate. That's what I think. So any other use case, I think, uh, like you already said about your use case, your water intake level. So that can be a good use case, because every time we will be not taking our phone out to add one
Yeah,
glass of
water.
water.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
that
I
would
think
be,
that is also, yeah.
yeah. I think so.
All health related things can be combined in one product, and that will be a great use case for a watch.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think so. It's much more about the ease of using because not everyone wants to take the mobile out, then open up an app, then do this.
Yeah.
That's why I think so. VR is working as compared to just mobiles because you have this ease of using everything. Everything is 3D. You can just do this, that, and everything is open in front of you. Um,
Hmm.
that's what I think, at least. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm at the end of my questions. Sure. If you have anything to add or ask anything, you can.
Yeah. And you are also a freelancer, right?
No, no, I'm not a freelancer. I'm trying to get a freelance project. That's what I'm doing because I think I do not have that kind of backing to say like I have like 2 3 apps released on App Play Store. Then I can say okay, I'm a freelance developer. But I don't have that kind of backing, so no, I'm not a freelance. I want to become a good
Okay.
freelancer.
Okay.
That's what I'm.
I think you are already on the right track, because you are creating your own products, and hopefully you will be also launching that on Play Store.
Yes, yes, yes.
So that will be definitely a huge plus for any recruiter. And personally, I will recommend to also go for a product-based company instead of a service-based, because you will know
100%
the
yes.
deep inside of one product. You will have you worked on any performance related thing on any
Uh,
product
I have not made performance as such in Android because
for
I didn't
clients?
get. Yeah, no, not clients. I have been working on Flutter app and I'm learning a little about Flutter performance and stuff. Open up profile mode and different stuff. I haven't been working as such. I was trying to identify memory leaks a little while ago, and as of now, that's that. I want to have a performance boost in my own app. I'll be learning about that in Android as such. First I want to make sure that this app, I think so, it's app that is almost there. I can release it now sooner or later, but yeah, I'll make sure to learn more about free performance as such. For now, I don't I'm very very lacking in this in this area.
Yeah,
uh,
that's all right. I think I thought that thing. Yeah, the service-based clients won't demand the performance or anything. They just want the application. Am I right?
Yes, 100%. Because what happens is mostly service based people do not understand the workings of an app or workings of technical environment. Because it's just if you open up a service based company, they will always try to release an app as soon as possible without any refactoring, without going through understanding if this technology will work out in the future. Is this app scalable to 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 users? Is this possible? I don't think so. Any service-based company does that. It's very difficult to, argue with the first of all the manager. Okay, this might not work out. We need to switch to native. Because I had this problem a while back that They needed the client needed integration with Zoom, and Zoom doesn't allow Flutter. The Zoom SDK doesn't allow Flutter integration. So we needed to do bridging between iOS and Android to integrate that with Flutter. That was very difficult to do, and we ended up dropping that idea, and we went for another SDK that allowed Flutter integration. It's just about that people do not plan ahead when it comes to service-based companies. They just want to quickly get over with things, quickly get the get the money in hand, get the uh, reviews in hand, start with new project, get it going, develop as cheap as possible without any refactoring. It's very difficult to. I think so. Very few service-based companies would be there who have that kind of scenario.
Yeah, that's why I recommend to go for a product base, because as a developer we will grow more if we are if the company can invest time and money in performance, in architecture, in if they are thinking about long term goal, then it will be definitely helpful for us to grow.
100%. I agree. It's very difficult to understand because first of all you need to argue with the uh, if your client is non-technical, if he comes from
Mm.
a like completely different background, like more of an artistic background somewhere, or maybe financial background, who doesn't understand a single thing about apps or how apps are bought by people or why do people use certain apps, it becomes very difficult to argue with them that this use case that you're telling me might not work out in this language. We have to switch to another language. Yeah, of course, it kind of improves your communication skills because you have to argue with your client. Um, Other than that, it's just it kind of develops you because you have to explore a lot of fields together. You kind of set your mind like a very small founder, like have a wide array of little knowledge, and it doesn't help you go deep. That's the problem with service based companies. They don't pressurize anyone to go deep because you can be replaced by any other developer out there. So yeah,
Mm.
if you're going for product-based companies, 100% that's 10 times better as compared to a service-based company, because you will first of all get great software, senior software engineers. Secondly, they will have an amazing influence on you, and thirdly, you get to see a product that is, have a real market influence.
Yeah,
You aren't just developing an idea to a product. You have an idea to product, then it is gaining money. That's why you are getting hired into that place. That's
yeah.
one of the biggest impact a product company can have.
Yeah, and
That's what I'm
that was also my main reason for starting into Android development, because I should be able to see the end result of what I'm working on.
100%.
Then it felt very fascinating to see one application that I can use in my phone, and if others are using, then it is a huge plus. And what
Yeah.
was your reason to go for Android development instead of web or anything?
First of all, I started off with game development. I loved game development. I still now love game development. I explore Unity when I'm free. I'm a dog about that. Kind of a geek about that. But yeah, I started with game development because I loved the idea of developing games simply to entertain user, entertain myself. Then I switched to web. I did not enjoy it at all because it just there's so many frameworks. Why do you have so many frameworks to do the same thing? Why do you have so many languages to do the same thing? It just irritates the heck out of me. When I came to Android, it kind of fascinated me because first of all, there's thing called coroutine. There's a thing called Go routine taken from the Golang. There's a thing called thread. I get to work with hardware. As coming from a background of a little hardware, electrical electronics, it kind of matched with my vibe, and I thought, oh, this is something that I can integrate into my electronics experience somewhere down the line, somewhere in the future. I might be able to create a products that will help users, and that will actually help me create a better app, a better software, a better hardware that will actually help users out. That will be such a great thing to love. That's why I switched to Android, because yeah, Android is everybody is using Android. iOS ecosystem in India is very small. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking now. And Android iOS is the same thing. It's KMP. So yeah,
Hmm.
that's
Yeah,
what my approach
that's
was.
great. And yeah, I hope you will achieve your goal of creating
I
that
hope I do.
software. I will definitely be your user.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that'd be great. For now, yeah, this is it,
Okay.
and
Yeah. Sure.
I'll catch you next time. Do let me know how your GD growth goes there,
Yeah.
and
Sure.
if you please share like how is your, whenever you're planning on GDE and whatever you're studying, please share that on Twitter. I'll try to follow that as well, learn
Yeah.
from that
Definitely.
roadmap. Yeah, I'll be
Yeah.
joining
Yeah.
your
Sure.
widgets uh, live stream sooner or later. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. We'll talk more there.
yeah, sure. Okay. See you.
Yeah. It
Bye
was
bye.
nice talking to you.
Nice. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye
Bye.
bye. I hope you guys really enjoyed this podcast, and Sagar was amazing with this podcast, and he introduced a lot of things, and I learned a lot. If you want something, if you want to know something, if you have any questions, comment down below. And also you can follow Sagar on YouTube. The link will be down below. You can also find him on LinkedIn, Twitter. There's so many places you can find him. If you want to ask him anything, you can just go on there. He's really, really friendly, and he will answer your questions. For now, this is it, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.